start. So I'm going to go something like 3, 2, 1. Hi, welcome to the Interpoint series of trainings and lessons by our incredible expert authors on really going within and finding a better way to live life. Hi, my name is Michael Harris, and I'll be guiding you through today's conversation with none other than Amy Kreminski. Amy owns One Degree Studio in Adelaide, Australia. The studio has multiple yoga traditions, meditations, hot Pilates, and maybe she'll take a moment too to talk a little bit about the Masters game in Australia and her connection with that. So welcome, Amy. I'm really happy to have you here and to have this conversation.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. It's been an honor to be here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you called this particular talk when we were talking about it, "Oh, the places you will go," because you just love the Dr. Seuss stuff. And can you first tell us a little bit about that idea about, "Oh, the places you'll go"?
Yes, absolutely. So Oh, the Places That You Will Go is one of my favorite Dr. Seuss books, and I used to read it as a child. And if you haven't read it, or if you haven't read it for a while, read it. It's just such an uplifting story. And he talks about, oh, the places that you will go. You will be rich, you'll be famous, you'll live in a big house, you'll have lots of friends, you'll travel near, you'll travel far, or you won't. And that is just life for you, because you do have these ups and downs moments. And for that reason, it is one of my favorite books. It is so poignant in my life, where I've had lots and lots of highs, but also lots and lots of lows.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you also like to talk a lot about, little adjustments and how making small positive decisions can change really everything and impact somebody's life. Is that related to the OU places, or is that something else?
Yeah, look, I make lots of little decisions all the time. And definitely with OU Places That You Will Go, I think the little decision that I made was on this fateful, cold, English wintry day when I was living in Jersey in the Channel Islands. I decided to try doing yoga for the first time. And I knew nothing about yoga. Nobody was doing yoga. It was back in the early 2000s, or it was 2000. So I had no idea. It was before Google, it was before Facebook. I guess my preconceived idea about yoga was grandmothers in church halls wearing leotards and just rolling around on the floor and doing gentle stretches. And I'd had a bit of a gym background, and I was working in corporate, and my lifestyle was probably not the healthiest, and I certainly weren't making very healthy decisions. And I thought, oh, I'll try doing some yoga. I found this flyer at the gym, and it had, it was an A4 size purple flyer. And then it had like little phone numbers at the bottom, which you could tear off the piece of paper and you could give them a call and find out a little bit about it. And I thought, okay, yeah, let's try doing yoga. I hear that's good to de-stress, and I'm sure it might have some other good stuff, impacts in my life. And so I gave the lady a call, the teacher a call, and just to let her know that I wanted to come along, and made a booking for my first class and went along, and my whole life went from going down this path to changing the direction completely. And it didn't happen straight away, it was very much a slow sort of moving shift. But after my first class, I couldn't believe how good I felt. And then the next day, I couldn't believe how good I felt. And it just had this follow-on effect, so my life was working 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 some days, or sometimes 8 to 5. And then I would go for after work drinks. And then we might go out for dinner and there'd be more drinks. And then we might go somewhere else. And, so it was very, very much a drinking, socializing sort of culture. And what I found is that when I started doing yoga after work, well, I'd miss the after work drinks. And I felt so good and clean that the idea of going out for dinner and more drinks was just out of the question. So very slowly, my life started to shift, and it was an easy shift. A lot of people feel like you've got to make massive sacrifices to get a better quality of life. And often it is just one thing. And this one thing, it was so subtle, but over the course of my life, the last 20 years from when I first started my first class, 23 years ago in the year 2000, so we're 2023 now, it has just had the most beautiful impact on my life. And I am forever grateful for stumbling across this flyer and deciding to, have the courage to try doing this yoga class, and where it's taken me, so other places that you will go, coming back to that. I was living in Jersey in the Channel Islands. I'm Australian, you guys can all tell because of my accent. I lived down south in a city called Adelaide, and I moved from there to Jersey in the Channel Islands, discovered the yoga, and then from that I came back to Adelaide for a little bit, decided I couldn't live without practicing Bikram's yoga every day. So then I went off and I did the training, and that was almost 3 months in Los Angeles, and then came back and then lived in Sydney. So I was in Sydney for 12 months. And that in itself is another story. Living in Sydney when you're 29 years old, teaching yoga, it was an amazing time. Yoga was very much on the rise. When I first got there, there were 2 big Bikram yoga studios. By the time I'd left, there was about 8 and more getting built. And so I then left, came back to Adelaide, opened up the first Bikram yoga studio here. And again, that in itself is another story, but everyone, all the people that were in my life, my accountants and, parents, and were all very much saying, oh, do you think this hot yoga is going to work? You're spending a lot of money. It's a big investment. It's a lot of time. You're going to be signing a 5-year lease. You're going to be spending a lot of money on heaters, and then you need bathrooms and showers. And I said, just trust me, this will work. It changed my life. It's going to change other people's lives.
Well, I have a question right there. I want to jump in for a minute. Because what I heard is when you start